The sun was a merciless orb, blazing overhead like an unforgiving judge, turning the desert into a vast, shimmering furnace. Heat radiated off the sand in waves, distorting the horizon, and every movement felt heavier, slower, like wading through liquid fire. There he was, stranded in the middle of this endless wasteland, a single bottle of fuel his only lifeline. The engine of his vehicle dead, the wheels buried half in sand. The wind howled across the dunes, carrying tiny grains that stung his skin and filled his mouth with grit, reminding him that nature here did not negotiate, it demanded obedience. Each step across the scorching sand burned through his boots, and every inhale was a struggle, the air heavy with heat and dust, choking yet necessary to keep him alive. Thoughts raced through his mind. Could he make it to the next outpost before night fell, when temperatures would plummet and the desert would become another kind of enemy? The bottle of fuel weighed in his hand like a symbol of hope and terror at once. One small mistake, one miscalculated decision, and it could all be over. The desert would claim him silently, without mercy. Hours stretched into what felt like an eternity. He scouted the terrain, noting the shifting sands, the occasional clusters of rocks, and the faint glimmer of a distant ridge that might serve as a landmark. Sweat poured down his face, stinging his eyes as he rationed his water and fuel mentally, planning every step, every possible maneuver with painstaking precision. Survival was now a game of strategy, patience, and endurance, and every instinct mattered. Memories of civilization, the bustling city streets, the hum of traffic, the simple availability of gas stations and convenience stores felt like another life, a dream he could no longer touch. He realized how utterly dependent humans are on systems and conveniences that the desert utterly ignores. The first major challenge came when the sand shifted beneath his feet, as if mocking his presence. The sun climbed higher, each minute sapping strength, and he knew that dehydration could kill faster than hunger or exhaustion. He measured every movement carefully, conserving energy while scanning the horizon for any sign of life or rescue. The bottle of fuel sat in his backpack, a double-edged sword. It could provide a chance to restart his vehicle and reach safety, but it was finite, precious, and fragile. Even spilling a single drop could turn hope into despair. He considered using it for a small fire, perhaps to signal for help, but the thought of using his last survival resource in a gamble sent chills down his spine. Instead, he pressed onward, moving toward the ridge, each step calculated, each breath a testament to willpower. As he trudged through the unrelenting heat, he encountered evidence that he was not alone in the desert. Animal tracks, small scavenger footprints, and the occasional broken twig hinting at life navigating the harsh environment. These signs were both comforting and unnerving, a reminder that while he was vulnerable, the desert was alive, constantly observing, always shifting. Midday approached, and the heat reached a near intolerable peak. Mirages shimmered in the distance, deceptive pools of water that vanished the closer he tried to reach them. His mind played tricks, each illusion a cruel reminder that the desert is a master of psychological torment as well as physical danger. His lips cracked, throat dry and raw, every heartbeat echoing the urgency of his situation. Then came the critical decision: to use the bottle of fuel to attempt restarting his vehicle, buried partially in sand, its engine long cold. He knelt, hands trembling from fatigue and heat, opened the bottle, and carefully poured the precious liquid into the engine. Sparks of hope ignited as he tried to turn the key. The engine coughed, shuddered, and then roared to life, a sound that filled him with both relief and renewed fear. The desert had granted him a chance, but only just, and one more error could still be fatal. Maneuvering the vehicle over the sand proved a monumental task. Each wheel spun, sometimes buried, requiring him to dig, push, and coax the machine forward, rationing the remaining fuel with painstaking calculation. Shadows lengthened as afternoon approached, signaling that he had little time before the temperature would drop, the desert transforming from a furnace into a freezing expanse where hypothermia could strike. The fuel gauge became a constant source of anxiety. Every mile had to be measured, every turn planned. The possibility of running out again loomed like a specter, and he could feel the weight of his isolation pressing down, heavier than the sun above. Nightfall brought a chilling wind, a brutal reminder that survival in the desert requires not just physical stamina, but mental fortitude. He wrapped himself as best as he could in scraps from his backpack, eyes scanning the star-studded sky, seeking constellations for guidance, trying to calculate distance and direction with nothing but instinct and memory. Sleep was impossible. Even the briefest lapse could be deadly. He reminded himself of everything he had learned, every survival tip ever absorbed, and used them with obsessive attention to detail, knowing that in the desert, mistakes are often permanent. Then came the sudden sound, a distant howl, carried by the night wind, and he froze, realizing that predators roamed this wilderness as well, a subtle but constant threat. Every sound, every movement had to be analyzed, weighed, judged for any potential danger. And yet, despite the fear, a quiet resilience grew within him. The desert, brutal and indifferent, had pushed him to the absolute limits, forcing focus, forcing clarity, forcing a confrontation with his own mortality. As dawn approached, the first hint of light revealed the vast expanse he had traversed, the miles of sand behind him, and a distant glimmer that might be the highway, civilization, and safety. Exhaustion threatened to overwhelm, but determination drove him onward. Each step, each turn of the wheel was a testament to human endurance, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender. By the time he reached the first sign of life, the edge of the desert giving way to a faint road, he felt a mix of euphoria, disbelief, and profound respect for the forces of nature that had tested him so mercilessly. The journey had been a crucible, stripping away comfort, convenience, and certainty, leaving only raw survival instincts and a sharp awareness of the fragility of life. And as he finally emerged, battered but alive, he understood a deep, unshakable truth. In extreme conditions, the smallest resources, the last bottle of fuel, a single decision, a fleeting burst of strength, can mean the difference between life and death. Every moment in the desert was a lesson, every breath a victory, and every mile a testament to the resilience, ingenuity, and relentless will of the human spirit. This ordeal would stay with him forever, etched into memory as proof that even in the harshest, most unforgiving places on Earth, survival is possible when focus, courage, and determination converge against overwhelming odds, and that sometimes the difference between hope and despair rests in the simplest, most precious of resources, a single bottle of fuel, a moment of decision, and the unyielding drive to survive against all odds.